Perfect. Welcome everybody and welcome back to another Michael's Community Classroom. My name is Allie W. I am here from Yarnspirations and we have another great class planned today with Edie Eckman for a fantastic summer crochet bag. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions throughout today's class about the pattern or questions for Edie, please feel free to drop those in the chat and we will get to as many questions as we can. I will be dropping a link to the pattern here in the chat in just a moment for those of you who don't have it on hand already. Perfect. I think we're all set to go over to Edie.
Okay, great. Hi, nice to see everybody. I see a few familiar faces here, or don't see your faces, see a few familiar names. So it's nice to see everybody. Allie, I don't know if you're still spotlighted. I might need to be spotlighted, but that's okay. I mean, we're happy to look at your beautiful face.
I think you're spotlighted now.
Oh, okay. It's not showing up on mine. So, okay, that's fine. So we have this great bucket bag. I think this is one of my favorite projects so far that I've done for the Michael's Community Classroom. And it's awesome because it's, you know, it's summertime. We don't necessarily want to be wearing shawls or anything. This is a nice, generous size. I don't know. Let me stand back a little bit. You can see it. And it has this really cool stitch pattern, which I'm going to show you close up in just a minute, and I'll show you how to do it. So it's an easy stitch pattern to memorize once you learn it. So we'll just completely take care of that. And then you can actually work on this, you know, when you're at the beach or the pool or whatever. Unlike the thing I was working on over 4th of July weekend, which was crocheting a full-size wool sweater. And I don't know who thought that was a good idea. But I tell you what, Saturday when it was like 95 degrees and I had that thing on my lap, it was not pleasant. So this is a great summertime project. I'm going to switch cameras here so that you can see it up close, and then we'll get started on the crocheting itself. So the bag starts from the center and will be increasing, and the yarn, which is the Caron Cotton Painterly Cakes, this is colorway, let's see, colorway, I can't read that, gladiolus. So that's the same colorway here. We'll be increasing and doing this cool stitch pattern and then stopping the increases and just working straight up the bag. Obviously, we're not going to do the whole bag today, but I'm going to show you a little sample. And then I want to show you how these handles attach, because this is just another cool thing that happens. Whoops, I'm pulling it the wrong way here. This is just one long crocheted strap that fits into a slot, kind of like a buttonhole slot, and then it's just tied off. You can see it tied here. So if you're short like me, you can make it shorter, or if you're tall like my niece, you can make it longer. So you can make it fit however you want. So that's another really cool feature of this bag. All right, let's get started. The pattern is calling for a size G hook, which at first I thought it was going to be a little bit small, but actually it worked out fine. This yarn is called a number 4 weight, but it's actually pretty light as far as number 4s go. So it's maybe, so G hook actually turned out fine for the sample that I was working on. Let's see, Allie, you're still showing up as spotlighted. How about that? Is that better? That's, I don't know what other people are saying, but that worked for me. Okay. So beginning with round 1, I'm going to chain 2. So I'm going to leave plenty long enough yarn tail because I'm going to want to weave that in later. So we're going to chain 2 pretty loosely, and then put 10 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. That is a lot. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to have to scooch these around. 8, 9, 10. And I just want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then the other important thing is to put a marker in that first stitch. This is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we won't be joining at the end of the round. So you have to have a marker, otherwise you won't know where the end of the round is. Now you think you know what's going to happen when you're working in the round like this. You think you're going to start increasing, but that's not exactly what happens on this stitch pattern. I'm going to remove this marker for a moment. Round 2 is slip stitch loosely in each single crochet around. So I'm going to go in, yarn over, and pull through everything to slip stitch. Now I need to put that marker right back in that stitch. So slip stitch loosely. It's important to keep it loose. Not too loose, but loose enough that you're not drawing in anything, because you're going to be putting a lot of stuff into these slip stitches. That one was maybe too loose. We'll see. Okay, so there are my 10 slip stitches. Again, I'm not joining the end of the round. I'm just back to the beginning of the stitch. The third round is 2 single crochets in each slip stitch around. So I'll put one right in here. Move that marker back to the first stitch. And then another one right back in that same slip stitch. So 2 single crochets. I didn't mention that we're using American crochet terminology. You know, there's a difference between American and British crochet terminology, but since I'm in Virginia, we're using American terminology, and that's the way the pattern is written. Or if you're in London, you're going to have to translate. And if you're in London, write it in the chat. I'm interested. Do we have anybody from overseas watching? That's always fun to know while I'm sitting here crocheting around. So these increases, 2 single crochet in each stitch around, is what's going to enable the bottom of this bag to stay flat. If we don't increase, we'll just have a tiny little tube. And I'll show you that it is indeed lying pretty flat right here. Oh, I see Katrina's from Belgium. Nadine's from Canada. Okay. All right. So round 4, this is where it gets really interesting. Working over single crochet from previous round, 2 single crochet in each slip stitch 2 rounds below. In other words, from round 2. So here's what that means. I'm going to take this marker out so we can see a little bit better. Remember where I put those 2 single crochets on the previous round? I'm now going to put 2 more single crochets in that same place, and it's going to be kind of covering these 2 that I did on the last round. So here's what that looks like. I look at the next stitch. You see that single crochet right there, and I'm going to put my hook way down here where that base of that stitch is. So that's into that slip stitch. Do my single crochet, and I have to kind of pull that loop up a little bit, yarn over and pull through, and I'm putting 2 stitches in that same spot. This gets easier once you start recognizing what this looks like. So now I have put 2 single crochets on top of the other 2 single crochets. So I'll move on to the next one. They're my next pair of stitches. I'm going to go down here and put 2 single crochets. And again, you can't be too tight on this. You have to kind of bring this loop up to the level of the row we're on. I'm going to do that all the way around. So it's 2. I'm not increasing, notice, because it's still just 2 here. All right. My phone is ringing at me. I don't know if you can hear that. I have it on silent, but I can hear it buzzing at me. Now what you can see that we're getting this kind of corded look thing. You see how it looks kind of thick? When I first looked at this, I thought it was worked over clothesline. If you've ever seen crochet worked over clothesline, it kind of looks like that, but who even has clothesline anymore? All right. This makes a nice sturdy bag. It is not really lightweight, but it's also thick enough, like you can put your crochet hooks and knitting needles in it and it's not going to, they're not going to fall through. Now I forgot to put the marker back, but I can tell that I have reached the beginning of my round here. So bad on me for forgetting that, but I can go back and check. I should have 20 stitches, 2, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Whoops, should have had 20. Let's do 2 more. Maybe I missed that. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go back to the 6th round, which is another increase round, but it's plain single crochets. And this kind of increase round will look familiar to you, which is 1 single crochet in the next stitch. I'm going to put that marker back. Then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Oh, well, did I forget my slip stitch? Let's see. Yes, I forgot the slip stitch round. Sorry, I'm on round 5. Round 5 is as the 2nd round, so it's a slip stitch round. So it's slip stitch around loosely. Ignore that thing I said. I have to be able to read the pattern, right? So loosely slip stitch around in each stitch. When I get to the end of this round, I'm going to stop and take a drink and see if there are any questions before I move on. Now, I have reached a knot in my yarn. Never work over a knot. Always cut it out and start over, because that knot will either come undone or it'll come to the front, and you don't want that. So I'm going to just clip out that knot and maybe back up a stitch or 2, because I want to have plenty of yarn to weave in. And then I'll just start with my new yarn here, leaving a plenty long tail on both sides to weave in later. It would not be enough to just carry that yarn tail under these stitches like some people do. You really have to weave it in securely. All right. So there's the end of round 5. I'm going to take a drink and let Allie tell me if there are any questions I need to answer.
I don't see any questions right now.
Okay. See, that was just enough for me to grab my drink. All right. So round 6, this is where we're going to start increasing again, to keep it flat as we move out. So 1 single crochet in that slip stitch and replace my marker. Then 2 single crochets in the next slip stitch, 1, 2, and then repeat that around. So 1 and then 2 all the way around. It takes a little longer to get around these. I'm going to show you one more repeat of this pattern, and then you'll just see it's the same thing over and over again. And if anybody's trying this along with me and needs help understanding where that weird round goes, that the one that works over the other round, this will be your chance to see that again. And of course, these recordings will be available afterwards. So if you're not keeping up with me now, that's perfectly understandable, but you can always come back and watch the recording once it's posted. I think it takes about 24 hours for it to show up. And if I'm wrong on that, somebody will correct me. Now, this slip stitch that I just worked into right here was too tight. Like I really had to dig my hook into there. So that's going to be a problem when I come back, because I end up having 4 stitches in that slip stitch eventually. So you definitely want to be loose on those slip stitches. And I've lost track of where I am, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to say I increased 1, 2, 1, put 2 here, then 1, then 2. Okay, here we go again. This is the 7th round, working over the single crochet from the previous round and into those slip stitches. I'm going to do that same kind of decrease. So this time it's not 2 stitches in 1 stitch. It's 1 and then 2. So here's where I had that 1 single crochet. That's my previous round, but I go down to see where that single crochet came out of. Okay, right? And that's where it came out of. So that's where I'm going to put my hook. And then I'm going to pull that stitch up tall and do my yarn over. Now this next one had 2 single crochets coming out of it. So I'm going to put 2 single crochets in there. And then just do that around 1, then 2, then 1, then 2. And I'm going to do the magic of TV like they do with the cooking shows. You know how they have the cooking shows all already done. All the food is already ready. And then all of a sudden they go, voila, look, it's cooked. All right, so watch carefully. And I forgot to put my marker back anyway. So just as well, watch carefully, boom. And look, it changed color and everything, okay? So here's what this looks like after I've done a few rounds. And I'm starting to pull in this way. I would just do this, because here's what happened. As I work, so I work rounds 7, 8, whatever. When I get to round, let's see, 13, I guess. No, round 14. I just continue working in this stitch pattern, working 1 round of slip stitches, 1 round evenly increased around, and 1 round working over the single crochet like we did before, right? When you get to rounds, what is this, 37, you stop increasing. So this, we're pretending I've done 37 rounds and I stopped increasing. And when I stop increasing and I just work plain, can you see the bag starts pulling in? That's because I'm not increasing. I'm just coming up the sides of the bag. So here's what it looks like on the bag itself. You can see that these were increase rounds. You can even see, because the increases happened at the same place, they almost make little points. And then it looks like it increases out to about this stripe and then starts working straight up. And of course, this yarn does all the work, the color work for you. So it's worked straight without increasing all the way up for however many rounds that is. Until the work from the marker measures about 10 inches. So on round 37, so that would be somewhere around here, you're going to put another marker and leave it there. So there's the one marker that we're using. Here's the mark I was using here to show the beginning of my round. But there'll be another marker that you leave in because you'll want to measure that 10.5 inches of height. Okay, so if I were doing this and I'm saying I'm making this tiny little bag, I would take this marker and just mark this round, and then I would measure the 10 inches vertically. So what does it look like when I'm doing it without increasing? That is just doing that single, let's see where I am. I'm ready to do a slip stitch round. This is only a 3-row repeat. If you think about it, this may look a little bit confusing, but it's really only a 3-row repeat. If you forget where you are and you sort of lose track, like who wants to count 37 rounds? Ugh, I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to do is say, okay, I know each of these ridges is 3, each of these bumps, because there was the slip stitch round, there was the single crochet round, and then there was this elongated single crochet round. So here I go, where am I? I did this little sample over the weekend and I forgot where I left off. Well, I can just look, what were the last stitches I did? The last stitches I did were these elongated stitches, right? So what's the next thing that comes up in the pattern? It's a slip stitch. So then I know the next round is just a slip stitch round, and I'm going to put that marker back here and work those slip stitches loosely around. And I see a question, can you make the slip stitch too loose? Probably, but let's see what happens if I make it way too loose. I mean, this is pretty loose that I'm doing here, but you don't want it sloppy. Like, I think, you see how loose those are? I think that's too loose, because what's going to happen when you come back around is you're going to get holes where you put those stitches. So it's loose, but not too loose. Okay, I don't know how else to say it other than I think you'll get the hang of it when you're practicing. You'll figure out in the first few rounds what's too loose. You don't want to have to really struggle to get your hook into those stitches. Okay, so that would be, that's what it looks like after a slip stitch round. So again, let's say, whoop, I forgot, the doorbell rang, whatever. I forget where I am. If it looks like this, then I'm on a slip stitch round, and I know I haven't finished it because there's my end around marker. So I'd keep slip stitching. Or what would I do next? What comes after the slip stitch round? Well, that would be the regular single crochet round. I'm just going to not go all the way around. These rounds get bigger and bigger. So then I would say, okay, I'm working even. So I'm going to work under the slip stitch, both loops of the slip stitch, without those increases, right? So I'm not putting 2 stitches in one. I'm just putting 1 stitch in one. To recognize where you are after a single crochet round, you just look and you say, well, it looks like the last thing I did was single crochets. So then the next round is those long single crochets. Okay, so that's the stitch pattern. But let's see what happens when you get to the top of the bag. And I see somebody asked to see the inside of the bag. I think the inside of the bag's really pretty too. I think that's a very pretty pattern too. I kind of like that just as much as I like the other side, except I kind of feel like crocheters are going to look at the other side and say, how did you do that? Like compared to that. Don't you kind of look at that and say, how did you do that? And this is nothing but stitches you already know, okay? All right, so, ooh, there were leaves or something in this bag. I don't know if you can see that. It just got all over. Let's see, did that picture have flowers in it or something? Yes, you see the girl? Here, a secret behind the scenes look. You see these flowers? Guess what? When I turn the bag inside out, let me show you. You see all those leaves? They just got all over. So from the photo shoot, we have leaves from the flowers from the photo shoot. That tells me that that is the exact same bag in the photo, right? This is what we call live TV, where there's stuff all over my table now. Okay. Excuse the mess on the table. So when you've gotten that 10 inches of height from the marker, all right, you're going to do this strap hole round. So it tells me to end on a 37th round. So what does that mean? I go back to the 37th round, and that's one of those long rounds. It says working over the single crochet. So I'm going to pop these right off and come back to where we're going to say that was a 37th round, because those were the long single crochets here. Then loosely slip stitch in the next 28 stitches. Obviously, I don't have 28 stitches here. I'm just going to show you an example. So I'm slip stitching. All right, then that was 28 stitches. Just use your imagination. Then I'm going to slip stitch 4. I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to skip 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then slip stitch in each of the next 56 stitches. Well, it's not going to be 56. All right. It's going to be halfway around. So I didn't count these. I don't know how many stitches I had at this point. We're going to eyeball it. You're not going to eyeball it. You're going to count stitches. By the way, it's always a good idea to count your stitches at the end of every round. When it gives you a stitch count, just stop and make sure you have that same number. All right, then you're going to do that again, which is chain 4, skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch to the end. All right, then on the next round, let me get to the end. I don't want to be confused about what that marker is. That was just telling me how far up I'm going. All right, on the next round, I'm going to single crochet in each slip stitch and chain around. So it's the same thing as before, where I'm going to do that single crochet. But when I get to the chain, I'm going to work into the chain. So I want to talk about the difference between working into a chain and working into a chain space. Let me get to that spot here. Okay, so here I am at my chain space. Most of the time in patterns, you're going to see when you get to a chain space like this, it's going to tell you to work into the chain space, which is just going in there just right like that. But this actually says into each chain. So I'm going to show you what it looks like here. You can see that they worked into the chain, not into the space, because I see this little loop right here. That tells me they worked into the chain, not into the chain space. So if it says chain space, you're working right there, which is easy. If it says chain, you're going to work like you're working into a foundation chain. So you're going to go under 2 loops here, single crochet in each of those chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're back to working into each single crochet, or into each slip stitch, sorry. Now on the next round, so that's what that looks like. You see those extra little loops. I also want to show you an alternative before we go to the next round. Okay. Sometimes you can work into the back bump of the chain and you may decide this looks better. So I'm just giving you this as an alternative. Sorry for the mess. All right, so here's the front of the chain. It looks like a V. If I tilt it towards me, there's a little bump behind the chain and I can work into that back bump if I like. There's one. There's the back bump of the next one. This is not what the pattern says. This is just me showing you maybe a different option you might take. Here's the back bump. I have a video about working into the back bump of the foundation chain. And maybe Allie can find that on my YouTube channel, working into the back bump, if you want to see that a little bit better. But I'll show you what it does in this instance. So here I am back at a slip stitch. I'll get back to a couple other spots here. All right, so here's what that looks like. It looks a little bit different, but can you see that it left chains at the bottom? So I think that working into the back bump allows this opening to look more symmetrical. I'm going to compare it to this one. So you see how this one has the chain look, the top of the stitch is here, but it has that single loop up here. If I'm being really persnickety, which I'm not always being really persnickety, I'm going to say I like it to look more symmetrical and have that kind of chain look on both of them. And you get that by working into the back bump. Okay, so that's just an option, an upgrade, if you will, if you want to try that. So then you're just going to finish working another couple of ridges, if you will, along here according to the pattern. Then you're going to fasten off. Boom, our bag's done. And you're going to work on the strap. Now the strap is worked lengthwise, meaning that it is worked this way. So you chain a gazillion, what is it, 257? There are 257 chains. So that's something that's going to take a little effort on your part, and you're going to have to yell at everybody to stop talking to you, and you're not going to be able to pay attention while you're watching TV because you have to count to 257 stitches. You might want to put a marker every 20 or 50 stitches while you're counting, just to make it easier. And you know, if you're off 1 or 2 stitches, it's not really going to matter because it's going to be long enough anyway. Excuse me, let me grab a drink. So you're going to work back and forth in single crochet. So that's pretty easy. And I love the way that this particular strap ended up changing color right here in the middle. I don't know if that was intentional on their part, but they have like the darker green and then the peach and then the lighter green. And that looks awesome. I bet mine wouldn't turn out looking like that. But so you do like 10 rows, and I haven't done 10 rows. This is my tiny little sample. You do 10 rows and you finish by doing a right side row. So I'm going to do one more right side row. And by the way, if you don't know how to keep your edges straight in single crochet, this is a great time to practice that, because you really do want those ends of your tie to be pretty and square and straight. So You are not going to want to count 256 stitches each time. So I often recommend putting a marker in the first stitch and the last stitch. That helps you keep your edges straight. If you need a little bit more help with that, you can look at my video on how to crochet, how to work single crochet, because I talk about using markers and keeping your edges straight. At the end of the 10th row, so that was row 10, we're pretending, and it's a right side row, you're not going to turn. Instead, you're going to do the edging round, and that is chain 1 and then slip stitch evenly around 4 sides of the strap. So here you're going down the short edge of the strap, and you're just going to go in, yarn over, and pull up a loop through everything. Just do that slip stitch as evenly as you can. You're going to put it, I would recommend not putting it into the space between stitches. You see that space, but putting it into the stitch itself, because you don't want to create a larger hole there at the edge. So you're going to work down the edge and stop every now and then and make sure you're doing it at the right rate, because let me get to the end here. You don't want it to splay out. Let me do a couple more so I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I put in too many slip stitches, see if I can do that. Oops, I split my yarn. That's not good. All right. Look at this with a critical eye. Let's see can you see that it's kind of splaying out a little bit? If I had done a worse job, it would splay out even more. I don't want it to go out like this. It was square before. You see how it's square down here? It was square up here, but all of a sudden now it's going out like this. So I don't want that to happen. I have maybe 1 too many stitches. If I have not enough stitches, something different's going to happen. So I'm going to slip stitch here, slip stitch here. I keep splitting it right there. Once you split your yarn, it can be hard to unsplit it. And slip stitch here. And I don't know if you can see what's happening here. Let me turn it over. Can you see it's kind of pulling up like this? So that's because I don't have enough stitches. It's kind of cupping and bending because I don't have enough stitches. So you want to just make sure, stop and critique your work. Make sure you have the right number of stitches, whatever that is for you. And it has to do with how tight your slip stitch is, how loose your slip stitch is, whatever. All right. And then along the long edge is going to be a whole lot easier because you're probably just working 1 stitch into each stitch. Now I have a yarn tail here, and I am catching that yarn tail behind my slip stitch, but it's not, that's not going to be enough. I'm going to have to also weave it in. So I don't want to try to catch it through the whole thing. But what that slip stitching does is it just creates a nice round, not round, but like finished looking edge for it. And here's what that looks like. You see how tidy that looks? It's just a little bit decorative. It's not on both sides, just on one side. All right, finally, you have all your stuff done. You attach the ends of the strap by just sticking it through the hole. And notice the strap's wider than the hole, but that doesn't matter. And tying a knot, adjusting the size however you want. I imagine you could even, you can knot it here, but I imagine you could even tie the 2 ends together if you wanted it like a shorter bag or like a shoulder bag rather than an over, like crossbody bag. So you can do it, you know, however you want. I also can imagine like adding beads or ribbons or something to the end just to make it a little more fun. All right, let me stop and see what questions there are. Allie, do you have comments or anything?
There aren't many questions. There is one here that said, how about using the stitch where you chain and making your first row at the same time?
Yeah, it's for the strap. You could certainly do that. That's the foundation single crochet, and you could certainly do that. This, you don't really want this strap to be stretchy. Usually you're doing that foundation stitch. Let me get some other yarn. Usually you're doing that foundation stitch when you want it to be kind of stretchy, and you don't want this to be stretchy, but you certainly can do it. So that would be, I'm going to do the foundation single crochet here, chain 2. And I have a video on this too, Allie, if people don't get it. That's when you work into the second chain from the hook and try to go under both bumps, both pieces here. Yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 1. That's the foundation chain right there. Then I'm going to hang on to that foundation, that chain right there, while I yarn over and finish my single crochet. And then I'm going to move my thumb. See that chain? That's where I'm going to put my hook the next time. Here, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 1. That's my chain, and I like to put my thumb on it so I can find it later, and then finish my single crochet. So that's the foundation single crochet, and you could certainly do that if you want, but you're still going to want to do that slip stitch edging, because you don't want that stretchy, you don't want it stretchy. You want it tight because it's already a heavy bag, so you want that strap to not move, okay? I see Susan says, if you wanted to finish the top edge so it doesn't roll over, what might you do? I haven't tried this, but I would imagine that you could just do some rows of single crochet, or rounds, I should say. So maybe once you have these two, you know, like this ridge and this ridge, instead of doing this last one, you might just do some regular single crochet. I'm not sure, you'd have to try it. I'm not sure how that would work, because you do have this knot kind of forcing this to roll over, but it does look like this stitch pattern does roll forward some. So maybe just taking out one of these and adding a few rounds of single crochet. If you try that, Susan, let us know how that works, okay? Because I don't know, I'm just guessing. Haven't made it myself. I like that it rolls, and you can see in the pictures, it's, you know, that really looks like a bucket, doesn't it? So, and they have 3 different colorways, all of which I like. So, and I have more of this yarn, so who knows, I might be making one. They're going to make me send this bag back, I think. Unfortunately, I have to send the bag back. It's the first thing I've really wanted. It's the second thing I've really wanted to keep. All right, y'all have to ask some questions because I've got time to fill here. I showed you so fast. I showed you all the things so fast that I got to fill up some time. Let's see. Looking at the questions. Recommended washing and drying instructions. Let's take a look at it's cotton and acrylic, machine washable and dryable. Yay, how about that? I would say machine wash and dry. And this really does look like it could be washed and dried. It's not something you're going to have to worry about getting out of shape too much. So yeah, machine wash and dry. Let's see. Adding zippers. I do not have a video about adding zippers, but I think there might be one. Allie, does Your Inspirations have one about adding zippers? And if not, I think we have one coming up in the future. I'm almost positive that we've talked about that. So there will be a video about adding zippers. You'll just have to watch this space for that video. Was that letting the cat out of the bag, Allie? It was not supposed
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I am not sure. I will double check to see if we do have one. You can also search the Yarnspirations YouTube channel. We might have one. But yes, we will cover this in a future class. So
it's on the schedule. I happen to know it's on the schedule because I'll be doing it. So yes. Let's see. How long? Oh, let's see. Let me go back. Oh, the first review round 4. Okay, let me go back to round 4 because that's the important part rather than answering the random questions. Okay, that's working over the single crochet from the previous round. So let me switch this here. I have leaves everywhere. I had not noticed that. All right, so Deb, this is not round 4. This is like round 7, but it's the same idea. Okay. So as I look, I have 2. Can you see that there are 2 single crochets that went into that one slip stitch? You can look at their little legs, 2 little legs for each one. They look like kind of V's. They're both going into that spot right there. So I need to put 2 more single crochets into that very same stitch. So I'm going to follow the legs of that stitch right down in here to that spot and do a single crochet and pull that loop way up, not way up, but up to the level of where I am, and finish the single crochet. And then I've got 2 of them to go in there. So I'll put another one right in there and pull that loop up and go around. And round 4, you're increasing on every round. So then you move over to the next one, you find where the single crochet, where that previous single crochet starts, and that's where you put your hook. Did that help? Okay. All right, let me see. When you add a new yarn in crochet, do you need to start it with a slip knot rather than just pulling it through? I don't start with a slip knot. If I start a new, well, so if I were doing a regular single crochet around here, let me find my yarn. We're going to pretend we're starting a new yarn right here. If I'm just doing a regular single crochet, I'm going to go in with my old yarn and start the single crochet. Then I'm going to take my new yarn and I'm going to do the yarn over and finish with the new yarn. And then I'm going to weave in those ends. And there's absolutely no slip knot needed there. Okay, did that help answer the question, Debbie? I don't know if that's exactly where you meant. Starting the bag in the first round. Absolutely, I can do that, Renee. So, leaving a tail, because I want to weave it in later, and I want to be generous with my tail. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then put 10 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. When you're looking at a chain, the loop on the hook does not count as a stitch. And this next stitch right here is the first chain from the hook. So there's the second chain from the hook. And I'm going to put 10 single crochets in there. And that stitch is going to get pretty big by the time I put 10 single crochets in there. So there's 1, 2, 3. You can see it getting bigger. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you're going to put your marker in that first stitch. You're going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and just make sure you put your marker in that stitch right there, so you know where the beginning of the round is. Now, if you know how to start with a magic ring, you could do that. Or if you want to start with like a chain 4 and make it into a ring and put 10 single crochets in it, those are all legitimate ways to start. This is just the way this pattern starts. If you're starting with a magic ring, keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the bottom of the bag, and you're going to really want to weave in your ends very carefully. I would actually not recommend using a magic ring for this because there's so much pressure. There's so much opportunity for that thread to come undone. I would probably use a chain 4 or this method, and also weave in that tail nice and tight, because there's going to be, if you're carrying anything in the bag, that's where the pressure is going to be, and there would be pressure to break open that magic ring. Okay. Oh, let's see. Oh, now they're going too fast. Allie, maybe you can help me.
Yes, I know there were a few.
Okay, slip stitch in row 2. So yes, I see that one. Okay. So let me find my marker. Here we go. So I know where this is. So that's where that marker would go. But of course I have to take it out to do the first stitch. So the slip stitch is just go in, yarn over, and pull through everything. So pull through everything you've got. I need to replace the marker. And then I'm just going to continue by go in under the next 2 loops of the next stitch, yarn over and pull through everything you've got. Slip stitch is just yarn over and pull through whatever you've got on your hook. You could have 11 things on your hook, and it would be yarn over and pull through all 11 things. So that's just loosely slip stitching. Say that 3 times fast. Okay. So that's part of round 2. Okay, let's see. All right, the back bump stitches. I would recommend that you watch the video that Allie put up there, because I can show it a little bit better. She put a link to the back bump stitches, and you can see how to do that there. All right. Dee asked about changing color. I am not actually changing color. So this yarn changes color. Here's what it looks like. It does all the color changing for you. The only thing I did was I had to cut out that knot because there was a knot in the yarn and I didn't want to keep going. So changing color is simply a matter of, if you're, say, doing a single crochet, go in, yarn over and pull up a loop. And when you're ready to do your last yarn over and pull through 2, you start with a new color. So I know it's not a different color, but yarn over and pull through 2, and then keep going. Okay. All right. How to do the chain 4 as a base. And now we are running down on time, so I'll do that and then I'll wrap up. So I would not recommend joining each round because you're going to get more of a jog. There'll be like this just looks continuous, but I wouldn't recommend joining and doing a chain because it won't be as pretty at the end of the round. This is much better and much easier. Okay. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Join to form a ring. So you're going back to the first chain, doing a yarn over and pulling it through. And now I have this little ring. See if I can get my finger in there. See that little ring? And I would put all the stitches there. So I would do a chain 1, and then I would put my 10 single crochets in the ring. This is like how you start a granny square, right? So I would just put the 10 single crochets in the ring, just like that. So just the same way you start any center out motif. Okay, so that was a lot of stuff. we covered a lot of stuff. And I hope you'll join me next time. I can't even remember what I'm doing next time, but I know there's some awesome class we have coming up, including one with zippers. I know that. And you can find me at edieeckman.com. And on social media, I am Edie Eckman everywhere. I don't have a business name. It's just me. So, you know, if you Google me, you'll find me. And I know Allie's going to give us the hashtag Yarnspo, hashtag Make It with Michaels. How am I doing, Allie?
Amazing.
Okay.
Yes. And be sure to check back online at michaels.com/online classes for other future classes that Edie will be teaching and other classes from the team at Yarnspirations. And I'm just going to drop another links to where you can find Edie online. So if you have any, want to watch any of those videos that we mentioned, or just check out what else Edie has going on.
Yeah, I have other classes coming up. I'm teaching all the time. I also have a newsletter, and you can subscribe to my newsletter, which is a great way to know where I am and what I'll be doing.
Amazing. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us at another Michael's Community Classroom. And we can't wait to see if you make this tote. Be sure to tag us with Make It with Michaels and hashtag Yarnspo. And we hope to see you back at another class soon.
Great.
Perfect. Bye, everybody.
Bye.